Welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I'm recapping episode 10 of season 6 of the Real Housewives of Potomac. Welcome and welcome back. Go ahead and hit subscribe before we jump into the mess. Thank you. I'm sure you did it. Honor system here. I trust you, as I hope you trust me to discuss this mess. So the episode opens up. We're still at Robyn's birthday dinner with the questionable fashions. I just also want to point out that everyone seems to collectively not only be frustrated with Robyn's braids, but also with the scrunchie. Somehow the scrunchie makes the braids worse, and I can't fully understand why the braids aren't working for Robyn. In theory, they should, but it's just something about them. But all of my comments are like, it's the damn scrunchie for me. So shouts out to Robyn's scrunchie. You really made an impact this season, sweetie. So Candace is kind of not wanting to take ownership of the fact that she is, in fact, body shaming Ashley. And I think that you can't argue with facts. You did body shame her. That is body shaming her to say, wide body, whatever. In your mind, it might just be common shade. And like, I always say these things to you. And so, yes, so then you are always body shaming her. Self-awareness, not Candace's strong suit. She just don't like Ashley. Ashley don't like her. It really feels like this whole cast actually feels very forced. The only people who are really getting along is like Karen and Mia. There's, you know what, people are getting along individually, but the group is not cohesive. And it's really reading through this season. And I think I'm getting frustrated with it as well, because it's, oh, can you kiss and make up? Oh, can you kiss and make up? No. Normalize, these people don't get along, but they get along with other people in the group, so let's all just cohabitate peacefully. I'm like really annoyed and over it, and I think forcing people into situations where they have to interact with folks that they don't mesh well with, this is what happens, is this awkwardness, is the constant fighting. But this is also reality TV, and it's what we tune in for, so here we are. Mia presents to Giselle Karen's whole thing of, if she retracts using the word death, then I will accept her apology. So Giselle then doubles down, and it's just honestly more of the same with her. Like, we don't even need to deep dive with that. Karen, I enjoy you. I think that you are a riot. I think that you're fun for TV, but you are also aggressively full of shit. There's no reason why you should be the ambassador to Surrey County, which is, this role is supposed to get people to visit this place, this small town, and, you know, see the sights there. And this is not uncommon. I see, like, randomly, I'll see ads for like, oh, come visit Michigan, or, oh, you should really come visit like this specific part of Canada, or whatever. I have not seen one of these commercials for a town as small as Surrey County, or for a county or an area or whatever as small as Surrey County. But the least you can do is film it in that area so that people can actually see what the hell you're talking about. I'm no producer. Shouts out to my friends who are in the industry, but borrowing their producer hat and putting my producer hat on, this doesn't make sense. You're telling people that they need to see this specific, you know, farmer's market, or, you know, the peanuts are a huge thing here, but you're doing it in Potomac. And shouts out to the actual producers at Bravo who made it a point to put in the lower third not actual footage in Surrey County. Like, I really enjoy producer shade. It's fun to see, like, the way that they edit things and whatnot. Your explanation is bullshit. No, it doesn't make sense. If your role is to get people to come to Surrey County, film the ad in Surrey County. It's just ridiculous. So we fast forward over to Giselle sitting down with her daughters. I live for Giselle's daughters. I love that they don't hold any punches with her, and they seem to be the only ones in the world who give her that kind of energy, where it was just like, girl, that's not Spanish. Maybe you just shouldn't do that. I want nothing but good and positive things for those girls in their lives. I appreciate Giselle's conversation with her daughters about you know, her hesitation to want to get married again, or you know, the girls do want her to have a partner once they go off to school. They don't want her to be alone. I think that that's understandable. You know, if you have a single parent, I think we all have that desire that we want them to have somebody there. I really appreciate Giselle telling them, don't prioritize a man, don't prioritize a relationship, because you need to have your own. And she talks about the fear that she had once she got divorced and when her mom and dad got divorced, where it was, how am I going to take care of myself? I just wish that she had this same energy when she had this conversation with Robyn, because instead of really, she still centers the conversations with Robyn around Juan. Oh, you need to keep your man. You need to keep your man. Why do you have so much energy for Robyn to keep Juan? But when you talk to your daughters, and I understand that they are very different relationships, but it does, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this is a concept that you're familiar with, yet you don't have that kind of advice for your friend. Would love to see that though. Like, yeah, I would just love to see her give that advice to Robyn. Candiace has a moment, a brief moment of self-awareness, which I was really happy about. She's having this conversation with Chris about, you know, business and all of these things, and she actually apologizes to him for making him feel that his work isn't as important as her work. What I want to say to this is that, in my experience, whenever it comes to something that you're doing to build your brand, to build your baby, don't ever take favors. And as much as you can, never take favors from people, because they will, I've been on both sides of this, where you volunteer yourself for someone and either they take advantage of you and set really high expectations for deliverables that they are not paying you for. And or I've also been on the side where someone has volunteered to do something for me, and then I don't get to set what I felt were reasonable expectations for deliverables. When you pay someone to do a job, it's much less murky in the waters about this is what needs to be done at this time. And I think that is the mistake of having a husbander, you know, especially when he's not being paid. He still has to make money. So I'm happy that she at least had the slightest bit of self-awareness to apologize to this man for making him feel badly. So kudos to her for just that iota of growth. Makes me happy. Wendy and Eddie are at the park with their kids, and they have to have the very tough conversation with their children about what's happening with police brutality and Black Lives Matter. And their son was asking some really poignant questions of just like, well, why is this way? And what can we do? And my heart goes out to any parent, period, all the time, because how do y'all do it? Like, how do y'all get extra energy for these kids? Because I'm often tired from doing absolutely nothing just for myself, so that you have the energy to take care of yourself and several additional human beings that rely on you. Just kudos to good parents out there. But I often, as someone who desires to be a mother at some point, how do you protect your kids' innocence and tell them that they're capable of doing and being all of these, you know, amazing things in the world, while also telling them what preparing them for the world as it is and not as we wish for it to be. I talked about this on a previous video, I think when I was recapping First Wives Club, where we always want to give our kids the freedom to be kids, but we also don't want them to go out into the world not knowing what's up against them. And you want to prepare your kids for the world as it is, not the world as it should be. And it's a tough line to toe. And I think they did the best that they could in having that conversation with them. You know, there are good people and there are bad people, and there are good and bad people within every sect of the world, including the police force. And that's a conversation for another day that we do not have time to get into in this video. But my heart really went out to them for just having to have that conversation with their kids. And it's not fair that Black people have to have these conversations with their kids, but white people want to keep their kids, non-Black people as a whole want to keep their kids very precious and not have these conversations with their children, but our kids have to experience racism sometimes at the hands of those children and their parents. And it's just one of those things that's unfair. And how do you explain unfair things to children? So Robyn goes to see the life coach. I still don't, I'm having a hard time tying Robyn's anxiety about the success of her business, or I'm having a hard time tying her PTSD from her business dealings with the friend who scammed them, right, to her fears about the success of this business, because she keeps saying like, oh, the business blew up. Again, I don't know anyone who has bought any of Robyn's hats. It's possible that it's happened. I say all the time, J-Lo has a huge fan base across the world of her music. There are people who are fans of J-Lo's music. I don't know a single one of them, but she can sell out a stadium. I don't know every person in the world, obviously, so maybe there's a bunch of people who are just like Robyn stans and they have just bought these hats out. I'm just not seeing where this business is so successful that you are afraid of your own success. It seems like there's something missing in this conversation about, I'm missing something. If y'all caught on to what it is, slide in the comments and let me know like what I'm missing about what Robyn's fears and anxieties are, that, you know, even back to the conversation she had with Giselle, I want to see what other people see in me. What are other people seeing in you? Like, I am so confused about that. She gets to the point where she starts talking about how Juan is, judging her for staying in bed late and all of these things. And she seems to have a very hard time communicating her feelings to Juan about how he's making her feel. And that makes me sad, because you've been with this man since, 18, 19 years old, and you still can't tell him how he makes you feel. And that especially makes me uncomfortable, because Robyn is in her, late 30s, early 40s. And we see Robyn go head to head with these other women about how she feels, but she's very hush mouth when it comes to Juan. And that's yet another part of that relationship that I don't understand, because it does not seem that either of them are comfortable being very vulnerable, not just with each other, but period. Even when they had like the psychic and everything, exploring Juan's parents who had passed and stuff like that. They just don't seem like very emotionally open or vulnerable people. But Robyn can articulate really well why, when she has conflict with the other women and why they make her feel a certain way. But you can't do that with this man who you have been with most of your life and with whom you have children. Use the same energy that you use to read a bitch down and tell your husband, it makes me feel bad when you judge me for this. I could really use some support, and I could use you uplifting me in the same way that I uplifted you. I hope we get to see that. Like, I hope that she figures that out. In case you guys don't know, as per usual, I have my notebook in my lap to keep up with all my thoughts. So Mia invites everyone to this goddess lunch, and as per usual, several of the ladies missed the memo about what exactly to wear. I thought Wendy actually looked really good in this scene. Mia looked really nice in her all white. I thought most people looked really nice. I was really happy with Askala's Habesha goddess princess vibe. Like, yes, give us some culture. Again, I'm really exhausted with forced apologies on all of these shows. But I would be remiss if I didn't shout out one person who popped up in this scene that I wasn't prepared for. I know y'all weren't prepared for them, and they left me quite confused. And that's Candace's wig. Okay, this is my thing. As a person who has short hair and who loves my short hair, I always feel like if you're gonna have short hair, right, you need to either have an expertly installed wig or just cut your damn hair. It will grow back. So when I see people with a poorly styled or chosen wig, like Candace looked like a 52-year-old choir director, but like the mean choir director who on Saturdays when you go in for choir practice, you like, damn, Miss Jeanette here today. We ain't gonna leave on time. That's the energy she gave me with that wig. And she was like, oh, it's supposed to be Diana Ross. Da, da, da. I don't recall Diana Ross wearing a wig that bad in her life. And I did not enjoy that. It was a bad look there. It was a bad look. And you have to work hard to outdo Giselle when it comes to dressing poorly. But Candace succeeded at that. So this game that Mia decides to play, because everyone wants to say that they love to empower women. Sure you do, honey. And so all the women are supposed to go around the table and say something that they like about the other women. And so, of course, this is awkward because most of these people don't like each other. And these kind of forced niceties, they don't give what you think that they're going to give. And we get to the confrontation between Karen and Giselle. And Giselle reveals that she actually was really hurt. Her and her girls were actually really hurt by what was said about Jamal on the reunion. Let me say this. Karen doesn't ruin families. Karen can't ruin your family. Jamal ruined your family. And that blame needs to be placed where it belongs. And to say, I think that Giselle is constantly trying to save face. She's constantly trying not to be embarrassed by the actions of this man. And I can understand that because, like I said in my last video, when you endure emotional trauma from someone, you do incur a certain amount of shame. And it doesn't make sense, right? Because this person hurt you. So why do you feel ashamed? And I think it's because a lot of times we want to feel like we should have known better. We would have known better. We should have, could have, would have done better. And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes a person just surprises you and hurts you. Jamal didn't surprise you. Jamal is who Jamal always was. And I think that while I can understand you being hurt by Karen bringing some of those things up and or the discussions around that relationship, the person at fault in the downfall of your relationship is and always has been and always will be Jamal. And I appreciate that Karen apologized to her. I appreciate that they apologized to each other. But when we look back at the footage that the producer showed us, there is an overwhelming theme on all reality shows of apologize and move forward. You're only going to be moving forward into another incident in which you're going to have to apologize again. There's no actual change to behavior. So it's just a circle jerk of apologies and regret, and poor behavior, and then apologies and regret. I think that's why people like Funky Dineva get exhausted with covering these shows, because that's really all it is. I'm going to say and do something that is emotionally traumatizing for you. I may or may not take accountability for it. And then I'm going to apologize and we're going to move forward. But there isn't going to be any real change behavior. So we're not really going to move forward. But reality TV, what are you going to do? So I'm happy, again, that Karen offered her that apology because, you know, I don't think that it was her intention to hurt her girls. But I also feel like the person who owes you the most apology there is Jamal. He's the person who's out here moving funny for this to even be put out there. And you're trying to save face by saying, oh, I always knew about it. Well, if you always knew about it, why were you with this man? Why were you publicly with this man when this information was out there? Like, it doesn't add up. Stop trying to save face and just be fully vulnerable. If this group is so special, like you say it is, why don't you feel safe being vulnerable? And that's because you don't feel safe being vulnerable with yourself, but that requires therapy and introspection and self-awareness, which Giselle does not seem to have. And I hope she arrives at one day. But I really don't like putting the onus on Karen or even on Monique, who brought out the binder, you know, that they somehow harmed your family. Jamal harmed your family. And you co-created that by allowing him back into your life. And if you knew that these rumors were out there, Why would you allow him on this show knowing that it would be exposed? I don't believe that you knew a damn thing. Once again, you're trying to save face, and I understand the urge, but that's making you very offbeat. You don't come off as an even-keeled person the way that you think you do. You think that you're playing things very close to the chest and that you're very cool, calm, and collected about everything. But no, you're bizarre. Your behavior is actually quite bizarre because you're trying so hard not to feel. And that's why everybody was like, oh my God, a moment of vulnerability, a moment where you're saying that you were hurt by something. Ugh. At your age, that shouldn't be a thing. That's so wild to me. But the older I get and the more time I spend in therapy and the more time I spend journaling and, talking through things with friends, a lot of people aren't self-aware. A lot of people have a very hard time in this area, and we're just witnessing hers. But yeah, I'm sorry, but Karen's not responsible for your family being hurt. Jamal is. And I don't know, maybe you feel like Karen reveled in that a bit too much, but the person who owes you the biggest apology and retribution is Jamal. And that's just that with that. I also found it interesting that Giselle wanted so badly for Wendy to be accountable for her response to Giselle's actions, but Giselle doesn't really want to be held accountable for the totality of her and Robyn both need to be held accountable for the totality of their actions towards Wendy. You did body shame her. You did belittle her. You did say that maybe she can't handle being in the group if she can't handle accepting your bullshit, which nobody has to do. It's incredible to me the extent to which you want so much understanding and so much empathy and all of these things from other people, but you don't give that. When is it going to click? Lastly, I just want to say that finally, Robyn didn't have the braids, but then we got a late ass roller set. So I'm still just waiting on her hair to be correct. So that's it for this episode. Slide in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about episode 10. I will be back on time next week. And be sure to like and comment and share and subscribe and send me money and well wishes and good vibes. And I extend to you well wishes and good vibes, but I'm not sending you money because I'm not that person yet. But if you subscribe to this channel and share this video, maybe I will be that person one day soon. Help me help you, right? Okay, thanks guys. Bye.